Hola. Hello. Good morning. My name is April Shalise. And forgive my lighting. My ring light broke. I'm so mad. But I didn't want to wait to make this video because I'm gonna get a new ring light. But I didn't want to wait because I am so excited. I found this show yesterday on Netflix and I binge watched it, the whole thing. And it is called Young, Famous, and African. And I immediately loved it because it was giving me Love and Hip Hop Atlanta vibes. as so much that the main character, her name is I think they call her Candy, um, Kate Candy, but it's spelled differently. But she definitely gives me Carly Red vibes, and I just love this whole series. Before I talk to you about the review that I want to give to it, just a little back knowledge of myself. I am not an African. I am an American. I'm an American, and I don't call myself African American. I would call myself Afro Indigenous, or I know it's a very controversial statement right now, but I would say that I would consider myself more of a foundational Black American because of the history that is not taught from our own people that have been here for centuries longer than the Europeans. Just a little backstory because a lot of people across the diaspora don't understand this about us. And I've gotten this from people in the diaspora, from people from the source, from the motherland. There was a king called Mansa Musa who sent his brother, Mansa Abubakar. I can't remember. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Forgive me, but his name is Mansa Abubakar the second, who commissions a trip across from some Gambia, but it was part of the Mali Empire at the time. 200 ships to come to the Americas back in 1312. They connected with the Siberians that were here, that had made their way across the land masses. But there were people here before the Siberians, and they're actually the Aborigines. They are closely more related to the Aborigines of Australia than anything else. So there were Black people here. The original indigenous people were Black people. And that, according to white history, European history, because they don't want to tell you the truth. And there's a big controversy in America about that, about as far as like the Jim Crow laws. Like they didn't want us to read. They didn't want us to read because they didn't want us to find out the truth. Okay, it was illegal for Black people to read in this country in the 1900s. Okay, it wasn't that long ago. And there were a lot of laws that prevented Black people from finding out the truth about themselves. Indigenous people and the people that people would consider indigenous, like they consider the more Asian-looking people indigenous than before they would consider somebody like me, even though I have indigenous roots. And people make fun of us and they say, "Oh, you got Indian, right? Oh, y'all was kings, right?" Yeah, we were because I have indigenous roots. My daughter looks exactly like a Hopi. My great grandmother was a Cherokee. My boyfriend, my partner, now his father actually was the chief of the Mohawk tribe, and my boyfriend, when we made him take his DNA test, is actually related to King Ramses III. So yes, we were kings, and yes, we have indigenous in our bloodstream. So that's why I would consider myself more of an American. Definitely, I am 83% African, but that indigenous blood is still there. And so I consider myself an American. Also, a quick history lesson. The term African American wasn't invented until the 80s, and I was born before the 80s. And on my birth certificate, when I was born, was considered a Black person, okay? So, this is relevant because when I was watching this show, when I saw this show, what I expected and what I got, I was kind of worried. I love South Africa. I was obsessed with South Africa growing up because in the 80s, Um, we were focused very much on South Africa because South Africans went through the exact same thing as we were going through here in America. The only difference is that white people can never tell the people around the world that, oh yeah, they discovered South Africa, and black people, they made black people slaves in South Africa, and they brought them to South Africa because black people were already there. You cannot tell everybody that they weren't black people in Africa before Europeans, but for some reason Europeans were allowed to say that there were no black people here in America before they came. Like, they discovered everything, even though the currents from Africa to America, well, it takes maybe it doesn't take that long for people to get here. And there's a very heavy Mali influence and Egyptian influence in America. We have the Mayan pyramids, we have the Olmec statues, and we have the pueblos in Colorado. And they claim, and they'd say, oh, that's the indigenous people. That's that the Siberians built that. No, they didn't. They did not. The Africans built that. The Africans that were here before Columbus built that. And a lot of white people like to pretend, oh, we don't know where these came from. It's a mystery. Aliens plop these things like Stonehenge. There's a bigger version of Stonehenge. I think it's probably in Senegambia, or it's in Senegal somewhere in Africa. There's a bigger version of Stonehenge in Africa because Africans built that. Okay, so when I'm referring to myself as an American, it's because there's a culture here in America that is, we're black and Asian and European, but we have our own culture here in America as Black Americans. That's what we are. And I guess you can call us African Americans, but I just don't want to do that because I would rather know what tribe I'm from. Like, I know that we are Fulani, we're from Mali, we're from we're a Wolof tribe, we're Yoruba tribe, we're part of the Taino tribe, we're part of the Arawak tribes, And so that's just a quick history lesson before I get into this and why I was interested in it. So South Africa, I was very interested in South Africa as a child because they were going through the same thing we were going through. They, instead of it being called segregation, it was called apartheid. And one of the things I do remember from as a child learning about in South Africa is that my family, I'm related to people in Koeniging, Jersey City and everything. So they made us learn about the fact that why a lot of musicians weren't playing in Sun City at the time, because apartheid was a thing and black people weren't allowed to go to Sun City. And so that's a big part of this series. A lot of the black rich, the young famous black or Africans like to go to Sun City because it's of its opulence and all that other stuff. But back in the 80s, black people weren't even allowed to go to Sun City, but they allowed musicians to play at Sun City. So that's something that you got to think about when you're watching this series and you're discussing it. It bothered me because when I tuned to it, I'm expecting to get like a Wakanda type of thing, like a Coming to America type of experience, which it did not fail to give me that. It definitely gave me that. In the first scene, Candy spoke about how she does not wake up to alarm clocks. She wakes up to an actual piano player playing the piano, which was beautiful, and that was very Coming to America of her. There's another young woman by the name of Annie, and this is what pisses me off because Annie is like the only dark-skinned woman in a series about young, rich Africans in Africa. And I'm just like, you're in Africa and you can't even give us black girls in Africa. You can't even give us dark-skinned girls. You can't even give brown. And I realized why. Because Candy, which is the one that they start off with, the main character, who makes her money in very shady ways. I don't know how she gets it, but she's giving me Carly Red vibes. Like I said, this is very much Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Candy has bleached her melanin away to oblivion. She's like Michael Jackson on steroids. She was a dark skinned girl, very beautiful, gorgeous before, and now she's not. And then there are other characters. There's a young woman, beautiful African woman, who happens to be dating Vic Mensa. Now, Vic Mensa, if you don't know, is a hip hop American hip hop artist who gives me very much J. Cole vibes. I used to get him and J. Cole mixed up a lot when they first came out. But Vic Mensa is his own person, gorgeous man. He's beautiful, and J. Cole is J. Cole. So, but I think they came out around the same time, and they might have came out around on the same label, something like that. But so the girl Nadia is dating Vic Mensa. Annie is married to Two-Face Idibin. I don't know him, but apparently there was a song called African Queen, and I think he did that. But Annie is an actress, and she's been with Two-Face for before his career. They were dating prior to them ever him blowing up, and she also he's had 4 children, I believe, before he even married her. And she's been with him that whole entire time. It's very much giving me the baby. But when she had a child with him, so she has 2 children with him, biological children with him, but she's been with him forever. And she's definitely an African queen. She gives off that African queen vibe, But I want to kind of discuss the colorism and the culturalism and the opulence in the series. I love the drama. I love the soap opera vibes. And this is, don't go beyond this point if you haven't seen the whole thing. I watched the entire thing, okay? So I just wanted to discuss the problem I had. Like, the first problem is all the men are unambiguously black men, okay? Except for Vic Mensa, who's obviously an American black man. And the women, I'm just like, what is going on? One dark-skinned, unambiguously black woman, 2 bleached, well, 1 bleached and 1 that looks like she just wears a lot of light makeup. Then there's one named Zari. I don't know what Zari is, but I know that she is a colorist or something's going on with her. I don't trust her. I don't understand. All the men are like, oh, here's Zari. She's so beautiful. Zari is naturally light-skinned. But she's a snot. And it just made me think about the fact that there are light-skinned women out here that, and I'm not trying to offend like a whole group of people. I'm not attacking people based on their color. It's her character for me, because it's just like and this is gonna sound wrong because coming from me, like I'm not mixed. I never have to tell people I'm mixed. Nobody asks me if I'm mixed because I don't look mixed. But there's some lighter skinned folks, especially here in America and especially everywhere, that give this thing where they think that because they're light skinned, they're going to automatically be attacked because of their skin color. That's the vibe I get from her. So before she can get attacked, she gives off this I'm better than you type of thing, but she's the one that's insecure. And I'm saying this because in the series, she decides to tell Annie's husband, that Annie is insecure. And so Annie and her husband, Annie, I'm telling you, Annie gives off these queen vibes because and they even say it in the series. When they first, Candy is throwing a party, and she wants to show how rich she is and how famous she is and how amazing she is, right? Which is, whatever. And at the party, she's talking about how, they always doing this flipping with with the dress. They're like, they're so over dramatic. They are so funny, but I love it. And so she's throwing this party, and I feel like they're using Sun City, but I'm not sure. I don't know if that was the Sun City part, but they do eventually go to Sun City, um, at this very extravagant looking place. Wasn't a lot of people there, because see, I'm used to America. Like, I've been to extravagant parties. Like, I'm in the music business, and I've been places where there have been extravagance and opulence, and a lot of black musicians have huge mansions and huge places where they live. So I'm kind of used to that. So I kind of understood where Annie was coming from. Like, yeah, this is not all that. I mean, it's nice, but it's giving like wedding hall reception type of vibes, where people, and not even the most extravagant wedding, but like an extravagant enough wedding. I'm not gonna put anybody down. Like, yeah, it's very nice, and that's the kind of vibe that Annie's giving off. And if you know certain types of people, people that are bougie and don't have to prove that they're bougie, that's how they are. That's how they are. They're like, yeah, it's nice, but I've seen better. So that's kind of the vibe that Annie was giving off. And I can see why, because they kind of over exaggerated. It's like, okay, well, yeah, that's all right. It's nice. It's nice. But she's seen better. So people got mad at Annie for that. Like, oh, you're insulting the host. But the host was insulting herself. Kandi was like, I love having people here that have the same bank account. And I'm like, bitch, what are we talking about right now? Like, God, yo, you're doing it too much. You're doing too much. So Annie was kind of turned off by that. It's like, dang, it's rude to mention people's bank accounts. So in their eyes, it was rude of Annie to criticize the food and criticize the place and then criticize the host, which Annie wasn't the only person criticizing the host. There's another man. I forgot his name. Dang, I forgot to write his name down. But he's going after Zuri, who's the one that who is Diamond's baby mother. And Diamond is going after Nadia, who is Vic Mensa's girlfriend. And Annie's just trying to stay married and mind her business, her married business. But, Zari is constantly coming after. And Zari, like I said, is light skinned. And then there's another young woman that looks very European. Her last name is Swark. I think her name is Kaylee Swark. She's a football player. I don't even know why she's there. And when I mean football, I mean soccer. For American people that don't know. She's dating some 40-year-old. She's 28, dating this 40-year-old DJ who obviously doesn't like her that much, but he's just with her for her looks, which is what I'm talking about when it comes to colorism. He ain't with her because he likes her. He obviously don't like her like that. He's just happy he could pull a white girl, I guess. I don't know, because that's what it looks like to me. And I feel bad for her because she's young. She should be with somebody who's going to give her. He's not romantic. He's not this. He's not that. He wants to be with his son too much. Like, yeah, because he has a son. Like, you don't have kids. Let this man be with his son. Let this man find somebody who understands that. You don't get it. Why are you there? So, anyway. And it's not like I love it because it's like soap opera. And, yeah, we're judging. But I also wanted to touch on the fact that, yeah, when you look at the relationship between Zari and Annie and Kandi, like, Zari starts getting on everybody's nerves. At first, you think it's going to be Annie and Kandi that don't get along because people are like, well, Annie, why does she always have to criticize people? But Annie has been through a lot. Annie has had a child who I think probably was about to be bow-legged or something, so she had to get some kind of surgeries to correct that. So she's used to being an at-home mom taking care of her girls. She's used to standing by her man, through thick and thin, no matter what. And he finally acknowledges that, she's the woman for him. And that's how it is in a lot of relationships. And a lot of young girls, a lot of 30-year-olds, a lot of 20-year-olds don't understand that when it comes to relationships. If you've been with a man from before the nonsense, like when he was dirt poor, you've been dirt poor with him, and you've gone through. It's like I was just watching a Michelle story after that, because it's the same thing. Like Michelle was with Dr. Dre before they were famous, and look at how he treated her. He did the same thing. He was horrible, but this guy, hip hop, you guys, you men, you rappers, you got to do better. Y'all are horrible people, and y'all really got to figure it the frick out. But anyway, we're at the point in this series where Annie's husband is trying to figure it out. He's acknowledging that she loves him. Even Candy even talks to him about, Annie loves you so much. She loves you more than anything anybody could ever love you. And he's like, I realize that now, and I'm glad. And he doesn't take too much offense to it. He doesn't tell her to mind her business. He's like, I know I got to do better. And he, gets re-engaged to Annie. And like, I don't know if I went over this already, but at the re-engagement party, this is where Zari started getting on my nerves. Because Annie asked Zari, how, I guess they met prior to this. And all Annie did was ask Zari. Zari said that she knows her husband. And all Annie did was say, oh, how do you know my husband? Not, bitch, why are you talking to my husband? She simply asked, oh, how do you know my husband? I want to explain this to people. If you have famous relatives or you have rich relatives, okay, and somebody comes up to you, you're very protective of your family, right? You're very protective of this person because, of course, everybody knows who this person is. Imagine if it was Beyonce and somebody comes up to Beyonce, some girl comes up to Beyonce and says, oh, I know Jay-Z. You think Beyonce is going to be like, oh, yes, no, she's going to be like, oh, how do you know my husband? That's it. It's not like she doesn't like you because she thinks that you're trying to get with her man. It's just like, I don't know you. So I'm not really sure what to think about you yet. I just want to know how you guys met. That's it. And especially given the track record of her husband, being that he has 4 other kids besides her own children, and he has cheated on her, and he's done things in the past. You know him? Oh, okay. It was a simple exchange. So Zari takes it upon herself to decide, oh, and this is where the light skin, dark skin thing type thing comes in, to just say, I think that Annie is insecure because she thinks I want her man, and did she say all that? She didn't say any of that. She just asked you how you knew him. That's all. She didn't say you trying to steal her man. That's not what it is. You're jumping to conclusions. But Zari takes it upon herself to pull Diamond to the side during Annie and not Diamond, pull Two-Face to the side during their Annie and Two-Face's re-engagement ceremony. Putting all the attention on herself. Like, why are you pulling my husband to the side? Like, what are you doing right now? But Annie didn't say anything. She just let it go, and she continued to talk to her friends. And, Zari decides to call Annie over and say, you remember when you asked me how I knew your husband? I think that you're insecure. She says this right in front of her husband. So Annie is instantly offended. Like, why are you bringing this up like this in front of my husband? They end up getting into a big fight. And that's not the only fight that Zari ever gets into in the whole series. Zari also ends up getting into a fight with Kate, with Kenzie and Swanky, who's a very extravagant man, who I think he's like maybe he's like a stylist, I think. But they all get into it with Zari. The only person that doesn't get into Zari is, of course, DJ, who cares, who's stringing along his little European girlfriend, Of course, he doesn't get into it with her because, you know, colorism. I don't know why all the men are going crazy over Zari because I'm not feeling Zari's personality. And, you know, people just keep saying, oh, Zari's a beautiful girl. And they keep trying to say, oh, Annie's insecure. Annie is not insecure. Annie is taking care of her business. And she's dealing with her business. She's not insecure. People are like, oh, she's so broken. Why are you so concerned about her mental? I mean, be concerned about her mental well-being, but without putting her down. Because there's obviously something wrong with Zuri too. And they do mention that, like, well, Zuri must be, because Zuri's not married. And her baby daddy's Diamond is not trying to marry her. He just has kids with her. He's like, yeah, that's my baby mother. He's just like all the rest of the rappers in the South who like Future in them, who have 50,000 baby mamas and, you know, could care less about their baby mamas. They just don't want nobody else dating their baby mamas. You know, that's Diamond Platinum. That's his name. You know, he's typical. So, yeah, that's my take on the series. I love the series. I recommend you watch it. It's a lot of drama. It's soap opera. It's bad acting because you can tell they're acting. But it's a good series, and I like seeing it because I like you know, seeing how the other half lives, and I like seeing the fact that, you know, it's not just Black Americans that are going through this, because a lot of people across the diaspora like to focus only on us and try to act like it's only Black Americans that do this. No, y'all do it too. Caribbeans do it too. But the only problem is, and that's the thing, the bleaching, we don't do that. And I remember getting into a whole discussion with some black men about black men in America. They don't like a lot of our very Afrocentric black men do not like eyelashes. They do not like wigs. They don't like weaves. They definitely don't like lace fronts. And that's fine, but I do. I like my eyelashes, and I like my wigs that blend with my hair and make my natural hair, enhance my natural hair. You know what I'm saying? I like it, and I like looking the way I want to look sometimes. And I do wear my hair natural sometimes. Most of the time, I actually wear my hair natural. But that's the bleaching thing. I don't know. The and again, cosmetic surgery is bad enough. Just thinking about the fact that Kanye's mom died because she wanted cosmetic surgery, you know, and people that die because of it. The bleaching skin, the skin thing kind of upsets me, because you shouldn't feel like you have to do all that to stand out. You should, I mean, I'm more of a natural person, and even if I do wear wigs and eyelashes, I can always take this off and be my natural self. You can't reverse a skin bleach. It's very hard for you to get rid of BBL and anything else. It's dangerous, and it can take you away from your loved ones. You know. But that's all I have to say about the series. Oh, besides the fact that Candy's controversial also because of the way she parents. She has a 15-year-old that has her own apartment, and she is allowing her 15-year-old. She says that she's allowing her 15-year-old to do whatever she feels like doing. I'm a mom. My oldest is 24. I have 5 children. I have a 14-year-old too, and then I also have younger ones that I look after, and there is just no way in the world. I mean, I can understand it a little bit because at least they clarified it. Her 15-year-old lives in an apartment next door, right next door, literally right next door. And it's just like when you have a house, with my children, they live upstairs and I live downstairs. But, you know, they still come out to the kitchen. I see them. They still come and talk. You know, we still talk to each other. we do text each other like through the house, like, come here. but I can still see them. I still know what they're doing. I still can. I hope I'm not. And to me, 15 is still a baby. My 19-year-old still is like babyish, even though she can do a lot of things on her own. She's still a baby. She's I don't know, living by herself. I remember when I was 18 and my mom dropped me off at college. And as soon as she left and they asked me some question that I didn't know the answer to, I started crying. So I don't see how she feels like, well, 15, she should be able to do what she wants because apparently Candy's mother didn't allow her to do what she wanted to do. But my thing is that, but one thing I do admire about Africans is that they are very disciplined. So I don't know if it's okay to just allow your children to do what they want to, because I let my children do a lot of what they want to do and I don't like it. I wish that my children were more disciplined. Thank God they are disciplined enough, but if I can discipline them more, I would. But yeah, that was a controversial subject too. So, if you've watched the series, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the fact that we've been hoodwinked and bamboozled in our history. If you don't agree with me, if you think that I should call myself an African American, regardless of what anybody says, even though when I was born I was not categorized as an African American, and neither were none of my ancestors. My ancestors are actually categorized as legends and mulattoes and black, basically. Yeah, you can let me know what you think in the comments. I like discussing these things and I like learning, and I hope you like learning too. Anyway, God bless you, everyone. Love yourself, love each other, and peace out.